appreciation for a Vaishnava is a very special sentiment. And that is something that I have come to appreciate deeply in the persona of Bhakti Gaurava Narasiṅgha Mahārāja, because he was able to recognize a proper Vaishnava and proper Vaishnavas. So, birds of a feather flock together. So, when the time came, and so many persons, not only with Śrīla Prabhupada, but later on with Śrīla Prabhupada's associates, his eternal associates, in fact, Maharaj was able to recognize that. Not only recognize it, but imbibe from them very, very essential aspects of their persona, not only from a shastric point of view, but from a behavioral point of view, how they dealt with one another. And as we have heard this morning, that quality of compassion, which is Śrīla Prabhupada manifested because he had to deal literally with jumping monkeys. Right? Just like we have here in so many monkeys coming and doing so much nonsense. And sometimes you just come to the point where you say, well, you just have to tolerate them, because for some reason they're here to test our tolerance. At the same time, when they get to the point of becoming very destructive to that which is very near and dear to our Guru Varga and to the Mahaprabhu and Radha and Krishna, then we have to chastise them. And that is the selfless task of the Guru, that he not only has compassion for the fallen souls and exhibits that compassion by giving his association and tolerating whatever trials and tribulations he has to go through to try to bring them along in their devotional life. But he has to inspire them to go out and inspire others. In other words, whatever he has gathered from his Guru Varga, incorporated that within himself and trying to give it to others. That is the special quality of an acharya. That is a sign of compassion. Right? Because he's not only, as the point came out, that he was not only tolerating and showing compassion, but he's inspiring, and he's inspiring for others to take the risk of going out and trying to help others according to their capacity, right? According to their capacity. In other words, what his capacity is and what his followers are may be totally different. Maybe it even comes to the point where the Acharya says, I want you to surpass me. And he looks at it in that point that is not impossible. If that's Krishna's desire, if that's Mahaprabhu's desire, if that is their desire, that will happen. That will happen. But the duty of the followers of the Guru, the disciples, is to take the example, learn, incorporate that, delve deeply within yourself. Try to harbor those very good qualities, and if you do that, then automatically whatever negative qualities are there, they'll go away. Wherever the sunshine is, no darkness. Right? So wherever that when we hear, we hear from the Mahabharata, Bhishma, how he had to watch all his family members being decimated. What was he feeling? We think, oh, well, he went against Krishna, right? So he's not, but what was his feeling? What was he feeling? Right? What does the Vaishnava feel? We always have to be so respectful of that. When Prabhupada was preaching, when he established his mission, he established it in a particular way. And what was he feeling when he was establishing that mission? And for those who are following, they want to incorporate what he was feeling. What was his sentiment? The external is a manifestation of the internal. So if we're lacking the internal, what's the use of the external? So that we should be very sensitive to. We should be sensitive to the feeling of the Guru. Maharaj was very, as Mataji was saying, very sensitive to the feelings of those around him, his followers, his god brothers, god sisters, the mission that Śrīla Prabhupada had established. He wanted to see that be successful. He wasn't trying to bring it down, tear it down in any way, shape, or form. Right? He wanted it to see grow and be successful. And that is why he appreciated Śrīla Mahārāja so much, because he was the one who clarified so many of these very fine points that were necessary to establish Śrīla Prabhupada's feeling and sentiment, the quality of what Śrīla Prabhupada wanted to bring. It's not that, only just like that example just before, I think, the last initiation, and they brought 50 devotees, right? 50 eager devotees to get initiated by Śrīla Prabhupada, and Prabhupada started asking them questions on Bhagavad Gita. Half of them couldn't answer. He said, I'm not giving, no connection. Right? So that was, what was Prabhupada establishing there? He didn't want a mass of fools or ignorant people around him, misrepresenting what he was trying to come and give, and using his name to massacre his mission. Right? And Śrīla Mahārāja was also doing that same thing. He was openly saying, I don't consider you polished professors. We're all students. He was also calling himself a student. And what kind of stamp of approval he got, what kind of stamp of approval Śrīla Prabhupada recognized in him, Saraswati Thakura recognized in him, Narasiṅgha Mahārāja recognized in him. So when we are going on the path, there's going to be so many challenges to come and see, are we up to the mark? Meaning, have we taken what they have given us, and which is substantial, have we incorporated it in our life to something substantial, saying, oh, one day we see him and the next day we don't. Where are they gone? I sent a picture to some persons yesterday, and it was in New York, and we were walking along, just coming back from Central Park, and there's like 50 or 60 devotees there, and I'm sort of like 2/3 way in the back, and all the people in the front, there's like one that's left. So was it that Śrīla Prabhupada was not giving something substantial? He was. Where is everyone? which means we are going to be tested. These devotees also rendered a lot of service in the time of Śrīla Prabhupada, but they fell away. So we may, at one time, have so many people there, like you were explaining, right? 5 families in the beginning. And then, boom, the last family left and Maharaj was thinking. He was actually very, very emotionally disturbed by that they had left, right? But he didn't stop there. He kept on going, right? So that's the test. Everybody may leave. Will you keep on going? Right? They are there. Do we believe they are there? Right? That's the point. They will reciprocate with us, and the Vaiṣṇavas will reciprocate with us to that degree that we have imbibed what our Gaurava has come to give us. We'll get that reciprocation. And sometimes it's challenging. Sometimes it's challenging. Two men in a room, they may not agree, but they should be able to sit down and discuss. We should be able to do these things because this is very important. It's a dialogue. It's a respect for one another, right? We should learn to hear, not think that whatever we know is the all in all. We can learn at every moment. At every moment we can learn. That's a fact. It's a reality, right? Krishna can change like this. It's like the Guru says, "Bring me milk." And you bring him milk. He says, "No, when you give him the milk, he says, 'No, I want water.'" "No, but you told me." You try to force the milk on him, right? The dynamic principle. Are we ready for that? Are we ready for that? What Maharaj did in many people's minds, although it was orthodox, but in many people's minds they couldn't digest it. Because they didn't understand the feeling that was within the man's heart. That was the reality. They didn't take the time, just like they didn't take the time to understand what was in the heart of Śrīla Śrīdhar Maharaj. They didn't. That's our impersonal samskara that we're coming out of. Because being a person and being personal requires sacrifice. It requires taking time. It requires being patient. It requires all compassion. It requires becoming a person. So we are praying to them to help us to become a person, as they were very personal. Jai. Śrīla Bhakti Gaurava Narasiṅgha Mahārāja ki jai. Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Swami Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai. Śrīla Bhakti Rakak Śrīla Siddhar Dev Goswami Mahārāja ki jai. Śrīla Bhakti Pramod Puri Mahārāja ki jai. Śrīla Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Mahārāja Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bo.